Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. I am, of course, broadcasting to you from the Pine Hills Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. Pine Hills Palace, RDB from the Great Midwest is joining me. And RDB, Pine Hills is what we call a ghetto. It is what we call the other side of the tracks. It's a war zone, crime hills, chopper city, you name it. It's there, and the bodies are there to prove it if you could ever find it where they are. And I happen to know that. And why am I talking about this? Because, there's a very ghetto feel to this whole show that we're getting ready to talk about here, episode 8 of Tulsa King. And the ghetto part of it, to me, is the old school mafia that we've seen take a sudden change recently with the last episode. And I think that's really important because one of the things we mentioned before in one of our recent reviews of 2022 was the takes on Yellowstone and 1923 or whatever.
Mhm.
And this is the exception of the rule, where you have a character that Stallone plays in Dwight that we really rally around. He's got his ragtag collection of people that are involved for him that at first was sort of cute. Now it's like, is it serious? Are they going to pull their weight? And I got to tell you, watching this episode, I'm going, man, I'm really looking forward to season 2 because this seems like it's setting everything up, and I think it's just all going to explode in season 2 where they can just tell it rather than introduce us to everything. But they're doing this low and slow play after getting over the
Yep.
fish out of water crap, right? And so we get that here in this episode. And with what Chick happened in the last episode, I was really curious to see what would happen. And boy, we got a good answer for that. So yeah, I love this episode. Thought it was pretty solid too. To me, I just got to say, I feel like it's been a different season after about the first 3 episodes. And I like it. So
Yeah.
uh, I don't know how you feel right now, but what's your initial take on this episode?
Uh, Things are getting worse. We talked about everything everything was going to come to a head. Something's going to happen. So this episode, not too much with the mafia guys.
Right.
They have a little scene. One guy sticks up for Manfredi, and then of course. Chicky decides to pull I'm gonna be like the Kingpin on Netflix, and I'm gonna grab a guy and slam him up against the wall. He didn't kill him though. Like I said, this is like your low rent Kingpin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so obviously now like he called, we learned he calls Dwight and he wants to make amends, and they're gonna head out. So we don't know if it's gonna come next episode or whatever, but we know they're on their way out. Nothing new. Man, just Armand and his wife. Whew, she wants to leave. She's scared, and he's just losing it. He's the point. He's yelling at her. He threw his plate. She's not happy. She just keeps whining, bitching. He's like, he's the point where he's just had it. So I don't know if he's gonna leave with her or if she's gonna leave without him with the kids, but whatever. That's a little side story. Not really important to the plot, but it might depend on where his loyalties go as far as to Stallone. We may see him leave.
Well, I'll say on that note, because I said I really kind of didn't like the whole daughter thing. I thought it was kind of overblown, but boy, that to me has done a big pivot here, a nice 180
Yeah.
where I'm liking her character, and she's not ugly, she's not hot, she looks like a normal person, and I like that here. Unlike Chicky, who I got to tell you, I'm going to be honest, his stock went up in my eyes, not for the cowardly act of killing, his dad there or whatever, but just the fact he's got the shaved head going and all that too. Because we mentioned before how
Yeah.
that's like the transition of him now becoming the man. He
Yep.
looks fantastic in there, and you know what? The way he's dressed, this dude's friggin' broad as a brick shit house. The dude's barrel chested and everything else. He didn't
Yep.
look like that. He looked like a sad sack before. So good on you, Chicky, for upping your game here in this episode.
Yeah. We also get to see Tyson's dad. Tyson's moving out.
Yep.
You have a moment with his dad Mark and Tyson. They have a little conversation. They agree to disagree, and he just says, "Like, God bless you, son. I hope you stay safe." He gives a little moment, and he tells Tyson's kind of like regretting, but his dad said, if you're gonna do this, you can't live here. He goes, I respect his dad for that because you don't want them getting involved and having people show up at his
Well, he's
house.
treating him like a man, right?
Yeah, he is. Bodie is acting more mature. He's probably one of the persons I've seen that's actually been improving. He's not like a scared little guy like he was in those first 3 episodes.
Right.
Yeah, we're seeing a different side of him. We're seeing he's more mature. We even get the weed guy back. Forget what his name is in this, but he comes back. Has a sit down with Mitch, Bodie, and Dwight talking about he's gonna be the one that's because since he's Indian, they're gonna use him to get the casino license. In return, he gets 20% off or 20% of the cut. And he says, and I love how Stallone's character, he's like, you also get access to the free buffet of food, you know. And then they of course they make the joke about the apricot because he brought some of them more apricot.
Yeah.
And they're like, Mitch, you're gonna have some. You're like, what? So there's little things going on, but the big thing is we're seeing Mr. Waltrip, the Irish biker guy, losing.
Yeah.
He is he's confronted by Stacy, the ATF one girl that hooked up with Stallone. Mm-hmm. She confronts him, and along with a new guy. He's just
wrong guy.
Yeah. No one we've seen before. Another ATF agent, and they pretty much ask, "Hey, where's Roxy? Where's her boyfriend?" He's like, "I don't know." It's like, And
where's your barrier? I mean, right off the bat. I mean, no screwing around, no little talk. I'm liking this. Yeah.
Yes. So, because we see in the past couple episodes, she's losing it. Stacy is becoming more and more a drunk. We see her here with another. She has another therapy in here, and he's got like the guy says like you kind of look like you're about to lose your job. You're kind of losing it here, because she doesn't want to talk about her feelings. And I understand that. Anybody who's ever had therapy that's forced therapy, you kind of don't want to open up to a stranger because you feel like you're being judged. Even though they say we're not judging you, but everything you say goes down in your personal file, whether you like it or not. Anyway, so he wants Dwight. He's pissed off because Stacey said, you know what? Well, because she told the FBI guys, you guys have nothing. So we're gonna go after the guy who basically killed my Roxy. We're gonna go after Waltrip. They go in, they raid his place, and then because they know he has money, because she says that Roxy, before she passed away, before she was killed, on the phone, she said that there was money there. He had access money, and then so they find out that he has a ton of money through Bitcoin, all invested throughout the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So they need a court order in order to freeze his assets. Meanwhile, Waltrip is basically pissed off because he contacts the two corrupt cops as payroll. He's pissed off. He's like, "Oh, you should have done something." He's like, "Well, what are we gonna do? We're not feds, you know." And he's like, "Yeah, but you're corrupt cops, so you're gonna do what I'm gonna say. I want Dwight. I want him to sell." So they go to. This is awesome. They go to when they went to arrest Dwight. Dwight, he's like he gets out. He's like, "Hey Ty, I got this." He's got his hand in his jacket, and he basically just intimidates the fuck out of these guys, the cops. Yeah. He says, "I understand you're working for Waltrip, you know, but you know what? Do you want to go home to your families? Because I guarantee you will not if you decide to arrest me." Because they got their hands on the gun, and they just kind of chicken out, and they leave, and then they call Waltrip back. He's like, "We don't know where he is. We can't find him." So we don't know. I don't know if those two cops are gonna get bumped, but a lot of stuff going on though in this episode. But like I said, is there anything else you want to talk about before we get to the end?
Yeah, I do. I want to back up a little bit because there's a couple of things in here that I pointed out that I liked, and while we got a few things in some small doses to fill in some of the character stuff, for a while I had forgotten about the main pot guy whose ranch they visited, and the evil Indian guy or whatever, the guy that had the really bad looking face, and all that. That was kind of funny. But I thought that would be a more significant thing, that he's going all the way up. We call it, vertical integration of your system and knowing everything. And I really thought it was going that way because he seemed smart. And they got away from the business discussion of how he's making his money. Because remember, he's supposed to be making money and sending it back. And now with Chicky getting it, you expect him to be doing it. But the thing that really became clear to me in this episode, even though we kind of touched on it before, is when he's got this ragtag group of people that, by and large, he kind of forced his way into the situation, and maybe not all of them will like it. I do think there's a lot more interest there developing it over like a couple seasons than just somebody turns on him like maybe Bodie does, or whatever, maybe because he's working for the other guy too, with the Bitcoin money, right? But the scene you mentioned earlier with Tyson and his dad, we've seen his dad just enough. We don't have to see the mom really that much anymore.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a nice little exchange where he's like moving out, and he's like, "Well, it's going to be like that white mama coming out." And he's like, "Well, because she's crying." And he goes, if you have a kid, maybe you won't. But I appreciate the fact that the father is respecting him and treating him like a man. But that's the whole thing. You make a decision, you got to live with it. This is how it's going to be. And when the father's like, "Oh, we did our best, and all that. It's kind of heartbreaking in a way because we remember we talked about how the dad kind of went in on them with the nitrous scene or whatever when he helped them
Yeah.
out just that one time to see what his son who his son was going to be hanging out with. And that's how it used to be old school. It'd be like, no, bring him in here. I want to see who they are. I want to talk to them. I want to see I want to know who their parents are. You don't get that a lot these days in smaller towns you used to or back in the day. And I always felt that this was a nice like current way of reproducing that. And to me, it was kind of neat. And I want to bring up one scene that was at the very beginning that might seem kind of goofy when he has them all in the barn practicing shooting, and you see everybody kind of being different about it. And you can say what you want about guns and people's attitudes about them. I thought it was pretty interesting that he calls her Jane Wayne instead of like John Wayne because she knows how to shoot. And she basically says, yeah, you're the smart guy. You're our boss. You warmed ourselves in here and we have normal little lives and all that too. But maybe you should apologize to all of us for fucking it up. And it's kind of like that's like that like plea of like, you know, you're a hurt child or like that. And you see her and she's not an unattractive woman, but she's doing everything she can to make herself look as butch as possible and everything else too. And remember the last time we saw her, he was complimenting her on that like body kind of dress outfit she had on. She again did not look bad. She was definitely not unappealing. So it's interesting to me because the thing about Dwight is, even though he's been in prison like 25 years, whatever it was, and he did the quote unquote right thing, I think he's missing the point that even though he did the right thing, loyalty only gets you so far in certain circles. And I think we're, of course, setting up here for war, of course, with Chicky. But you look at it, his daughter, to your point, looks like she is going to come back to him, whether the husband does or not. We don't know. And frankly, we don't care. We don't like him. But we're starting to go, hey, the loyalty is important enough, and everybody that he's around
Yeah.
senses it.
Yeah.
And no
Stallone's
matter that
daughter.
he's a bad guy. Yeah, Stallone's daughter, she was doing the horse. And the thing I like about this, too, is that these are not all thugs, gangbangers, except for the guy who, is the bar owner who, they round up some people.
You said I'm talking about Stallone's daughter, not in real life, in the show.
Oh, I
Yeah.
meant in the show, the blonde.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure because his real life, his daughter's in there too.
Right. That's what I'm saying is well, she's beautiful, she's delicate, she's fragile. She has no idea what the hell she's into. She's caring for the dude's horse, right?
Yeah.
But at least the other people shooting at the range or in the early on, we all know that they're just bums basically
Oh.
trying to make their own way through. So
So-
it's interesting. The people that are very loyal to him are the least effective people for what's getting ready to happen here on the horizon. And I like this dynamic.
Yeah. So, question: do you think Chicky's gonna go after his Dwight's daughter? Remember, because we just got a scene in this episode where he called up or she called him and called Dwight or whatever, and she was gonna come out, and he says, you know what? Let's put a pin on that. Now this is really important because Dwight cut her out of his life. And now it feels like he's doing it again to her. So I wonder if she's taking that personal. You could see she was kind of a little depressed.
She listened though, and I think she knows at the gut level that he's right. Because remember what he did for her, and that is a blood thing too. What I can't figure about Chicky is I'm telling you, I really feel like he's on that upward slope in the season, and I kept feeling all along that it's basically Chicky is going to be season one and done basically, and then the bigger play would be.
I guarantee you at the end of the season he's dead.
Well, you guarantee it? Okay, I'm not making any predictions just yet. But
I'm making a prediction because the guy is not smart. He's very emotional.
Yeah, I agree with you, but so I'm going. Out of everybody that's here, the biker gang, Chicky, I'm like, the biker gang dude's got to stay because really, he's the weakest person to me out of all these. And I don't hate him, but I'm not getting it yet. And I don't know if it's the John Lennon glasses. I don't know what. I don't know if it's the accent. I have a tough time feeling like this guy's a tough guy. I feel like he's a smart guy, but I'm not feeling the evil out of him despite him killing Roxy. I'm just not. The mafia guys, I'm going, that's the immediate threat I think he's going to have to deal with too. So I'm looking forward to seeing that play out a little bit. I want to see this. I want to see Chicky in a group basically be done. And then I expect some people to turn on him, and I expect it to be basically a turf war with him and maybe two groups here. But I think the biker gang is going to be a part of it, and then of course, damn it, what's her name? Dana Delaney's character. We see a little bit more of her in here too. So I just don't think there's going to be two sides in season 2. I think there's going to be 3. So I think right now there's 3, maybe 4, but you put like one of the four on the back burner a little bit, so you can let two groups fight it out. And I think we are going to lose some people out of Dwight's group too, but I'm
Sure.
getting to where I kind of like him a little bit, you know. And Tyson, you and I mentioned this before.
Yeah.
I want to see him almost kind of learn what he thinks he can do, and then maybe do his own thing, you know, against Dwight or something. You know, we need to see somebody challenge him that's young, I think.
So here's my prediction as far as who's not going to survive this season. Number one is going to be Chicky. The other one's going to be Wall Trip. Those two are going away. Which will present, we'll have to get a new villain. Either they'll introduce the new villain into the end of the season, or they'll introduce it in the beginning of the next season. We know that the feds are probably going to look into him now, probably.
Yeah.
Someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely at the end of this. As far as who else is going to... Yeah, I don't think Tyson, but I do think the overweight. I don't want to be rude because it's going to be PC now, but the bodyguard that works at Buddy's... Yeah, guy who works at Bodie's shop. The big guy. I think he's going to get killed.
Stingray.
Stingray 2.0. Yeah, he's going to die. Dashiell Connery is the actor who plays the one that is the dreads. He might go. Maybe Tyson's dad. Armand might be one to get shot and killed. Depending is what like I said, I don't know about that, but I mean, I really do. If they do bring in a new big bad guy, Neil McDonough.
Who?
Neil McDonough. McDonough, whatever his name is, guy from Justified. He was the guy with the little gun that popped out his sleeve.
Oh, okay.
He's also played Damien Dark in the CW. He's played, he was also in some of the other stuff. That guy's a phenomenal actor. He always plays the good villains. He's the classy, but smart and always one step ahead.
Well, as we get here to the end, let me ask you, the phone call that he has with Chicky, where Chicky's basically saying, we're going to get together, break some bread, and, should put up this good front. How did you feel about it?
Well, I think Dwight knew exactly what's going on. So Dwight knows he's preparing for war. Especially, Dwight's always had it out for thing, and he knows that somebody attacked his daughter. And who is the most irrational person to go and attack his daughter? Chicky. Actually, let me clarify. Didn't check. He attacked his daughter's husband.
Correct.
But yeah, so he knows that it was an inside thing because it wasn't a regular mugging. They would have took his wallet, but they didn't take the wallet. That's the first mistake. I said Chicky is not smart. He killed his old man because he's a spoiled, emotional brat. So when it comes down to, I said I think something's going to happen with Dwight's daughter. Either she's going to shoot someone, which would be cool, but yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, as far as what's going to go on, I mean, I don't know as far as who's going to be the making to the next season, but I don't think I see Walt Chip or Chicky surviving it. There's even some of the mob guys. I think all the mob guys might die. I mean, we've been seeing actor Chris Caldolevino, the guy from those who recognize it. He's from Sopranos.
Yeah,
he's been popping up. I don't think he's going to survive. Bodie is iffy. Bodie's like a cockroach, though. I think he'll survive, though.
Like a cockroach is a good description because he's not stupid, No. And it's weird too because we've gotten used to seeing some of these people present a certain way, but then we see that they've got other things too. And Chicky's, of course, is the main example. But the weed guy that you're talking about, the guy that let the dog shit on his lawn, and now he had the coming to Jesus meeting with the neighbor, and now he's got his nuts about him, and he tells his wife, "Hey, we're not fucking moving, we're staying," and all that. That's good stuff. Yeah, I'm like, so now is he gonna stay? I don't know.
So there is a huge thing, though. We were talking about this last week. Dana Delaney's character, she's got a thing for Stallone's character, even though she knows that he's an ex-con. But they're back again. He goes to meet her again, and her ex-husband basically kind of shows up, and he's kind of like the guy from the last season of Cobra Kai, the villain.
Yeah.
I forget what his name is, but he's a tall dude, tall skinny dude, and this dude's like, I'm not intimidated by you, and Stallone's like basically his character is like, it's like, I'll beat the shit out of you. I don't think you don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And then So he's like, "Oh, nice guy," and she's like, "Oh, you don't have you're a poor judge character." All right, I'm honest. He's an asshole, and she's like, "Yeah, she is." Um, so he was. I don't know. I think he's a one off. Her ex husband, but now is she connected to Chip? We haven't seen anything like that.
I think she is the alpha and omega. I think she's the beginning, and I think she's the
Yeah.
ringleader of everything.
So the other question is that okay? So is Dana Delaney gonna be revealed? That yeah, she may or may not be revealed to be the main villain. And ATF girl. I mean, will she survive the next season? And
I kind of hope she does in a way, though.
I hope she does, but I mean, it's just because right now, because she shows up and she shows and talks to Dwight, and Dwight's like, outside his hotel, or basically on the steps at the end of this episode. And they're talking. He's like, "What are you want to come up for a drink?" It's like, it's like, no. And it's like, "Oh, he must be jealous because you heard I had a new girlfriend." Like, so how would it be jealous? I'm not over you, and I can tell that she has feelings for him. She's jealous.
Yeah,
she's falling it because he's the only nice guy that actually cared about her, genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she has feelings, and she ends up getting shot because who shows up? It looks like Waltrip, doesn't it? Yeah, Waltrip, or maybe not. But all I know is it's two biker guys. Dwight and her and Stacy pulled for the guns.
They're better shots than the last guys we saw.
Yeah. So one gets away, and he shoots the other one. So that's what I'm thinking. The one that shot her was Waltrip.
Yeah.
So Tyson Spuzz arrives at the hotel, and he's like, "Here, give her to this gun." He's she got Stacy got shot in the gut, and he basically calls for an ambulance. He says, "Hey, so we get an ambulance." A doctor rushes out. The cops show up, and they, "Hey, your hands covered blood. Were you involved in this? What's your name?" He's like, Manfredi. So now, really, because now she's in trouble. Now she got a gut shot. They're gonna ask me, "Why were you talking to him?" To Dwight. She's her career's in jeopardy really now because now they're going to question. Now they have to come up with a story.
I typically didn't realize this for the first few episodes, or maybe they didn't do it, but it was a few episodes before they did previously on Tulsa King, and then at the end of the ending credits here, they have a little clip for next week, and you could see where he tells them, "Hey, we're fucking done." He tells Chicky that, and they're standing out there, and so that he's smart to know everything that's coming. And the biggest thing about him is that he's such a good judge of character. He can see somebody's essence, and he knows how to work with it. So he's basically a deal maker, and it's rare to find people that are that way. By deal maker, I don't mean a salesman where you try to, manipulate somebody into doing something you want. He basically knows.
Yeah, he's the real gangster. Where
exactly.
Chicky is the person who does things with his emotions. He's the irrational kind. If it would have been up to Dwight would have put him down on his misery, a long time ago.
As Kyle would say in chat, do you think she dies? Well,
yeah,
if she dies, she dies. That's a little rough.
I don't know. I think the gut shot was just a thing. She's going to survive the next season.
I think so too.
It's a red herring. She's not going to die. And she does have a pair of she does have a beautiful pair of eyes. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, she does. She's actually an attractive middle-aged woman too, but she's in the plain Jane way. But seeing her go where she's kind of a little unstable, but not full on crazy, that's a tough place to. That's a fine line to walk, as they would say, a tough place to tread, because one or two stupid things, they're like, "Yeah, fuck you, we don't care, go ahead and die." And some others, it's like, "Well, what are you doing that's making yourself valuable?" And I like the fact that we got all those red flags from her when they were having dinner and screwing, where she's lost her job before because she's made some irrational decisions, and now she's got the dog, and we're like, "Uh-oh, what's going on?" And so, yeah, I think this makes things tough for her and puts her on the sideline and keeps her into the next season.
Yeah.
I think she's back.
Yeah, we're gonna have. I hopefully get at the very last episode we get Stacey and basically wrestling with Market, aka. So basically, I want the ATF girl versus Dana Delaney wrestling in the mud at the ranch.
Yeah, but I think I don't know how many seasons this is going to run, so I don't know if they've got their arcs, or depending on it, they usually with your showrunners can figure this stuff out. But I want it to basically, I want the guys to all be killed off, and I do want it to be the women that are left last fighting over him. I know it sounds kind of whatever, but it makes sense. Because Stacy knows who he is. I mean, and Dana does too. So it's like, okay, this is really who needs to be here at the end. Either that or Tyson's
Well,
got a crew and he's running Tulsa.
I don't know. Maybe Dwight just gets both girls.
No, stop it. That's weak sauce.
Weak
No, definitely
sauce.
can't. No, when the two ladies are interested, they will battle and to
Oh
claim their
yes.
victory. And
And that's the other thing is that the girl that he's seeing now, the only turns out to be villain. The good girl, he's gonna be love interest. Stacy fights and wins at the end.
yeah, Ed and Chad's been mentioning the evolution of it. And I have to agree because, like I said before, the first few episodes, I was kind of like, it's kind of cute, fish out of water. And then that kind of died down. And then it was, well, I think Stallone's really enjoying what he's
And
doing. And then there were some interesting things, but, nothing's really like, I don't think we've seen the full deck of cards and we're just in awe of it. It's like,
and that's the best part about these series. You should not start off real strong. I like when they slowly build up. It's more satisfying, especially when the end is just like, oh my gosh, it's awesome. It's like, I don't like it when they jump the shark right away, and then they're like the rest of this after that. It's like it just sucks.
yeah.
Slow build is what we like, bro.
Well, I think the dealing with the immediate threat, the long-term threat, the stuff that's always there, those are nice distractions. So my hyper focus has been on someone like a Tyson or a Bodhi, where it's like, the slow demon inside your group that's going to grow and challenge you, which always happens, right? That's the circle of life. That's the interesting thing to me. And so I just always thought that could be it, because this is not something that's going to run 10 seasons, probably not
So,
even 5. We're
all right.
lucky if we get 3, I think.
So, who is your favorite character right now on the series?
Well, it would be Stallone. I mean,
Stallone?
without a doubt. I think he's enjoying it so much. I know he's obviously mid-70s. I still think that for the most part, he's you can understand what he's saying. His timing is there. His timing is really good, the way he's interacting with other people. And even though it's about him, I think he does a great job of elevating all the people around him, because why do we care about all these people in Tulsa? We don't give a rat's ass, but somehow way they're a part of his group, and you see him almost being like mother hen type of figure to him, because like they said in the barn early on shooting, he's like, this is my way of saying sorry. He goes, you need to learn how to defend yourself. It's important, and while she may have been right about saying, well, you could have apologized or not done it, he knew what was going to happen, so he felt like it was his duty to them to do it. He's hands-on. He's the kind of boss you would like, in a way, because even though you hate the fact that he muscled in on it, he's upfront with you. He's honest. It tells you how it is. He doesn't treat you like an asshole. He treats you very serious, and he treats you with what you think needs to be done. Like we see that almost father-son thing with him and Tyson, right? You see a little bit this episode. It comes back a little bit. The gangster wannabe type, it almost comes back. And I'm like, oh man, that's good stuff, seeing that slowly develop, because that means Tyson's got to be the man to want to take him on later.
Do you know the best character evolution in this show is Grace McKenna Quigley, Harrington's character. She's the one that basically was a trigger girl. She was scared. We found out that she knows how to shoot a gun. She's like,
it's interesting, right?
Yeah. And she says, well, my dad just killed himself, 2 years ago. I don't really want to touch a gun, but she says she's kind of, as a father, daughter to father, kind of a conversation. She says, hey, I understand you didn't mean for this shit, but we're involved in it now. It's like, at least say it, next time, be more careful with other people's lives.
Yeah,
we're not all like you, because now I have to worry about someone's going to kill me, because she's smart. Here, I thought she was kind of, she plays like, she comes up from the very beginning. She comes
Wallflower,
yeah. I think she's like, oh my gosh, So I loved her character evolution. Clint he's the dread guy. He did lots of dreads, but he's still kind of the same. He's a little squirrely.
Yeah. I keep saying Stingray from Cobra Kai, because I don't think it's him, but for some reason there was something about it that just reminded me of Stingray. Who
it's the beard.
I guess it is.
And
his overexcitement about being a part of something, and he doesn't care what, even if it's inappropriate. Yeah. He's just happy as a pig in mud.
His name was actually Security Guard Fred.
Security Guard Fred.
He's
the Willie in Dark Shadows. If you guys have been listening to that, he's the loyal house dog.
Yeah.
he got the thing thrown in his face. He's flinching. Now he's trying to shoot.
So my favorite character on the show, other than Dwight, is Mitch, Gary Hedlund's character. He's giving like in all. If anybody's you've seen Expendables, I'm getting like the he's like kind of almost like the Jason Statham version of this show.
Hmm.
Like, he's their partners, but he's also not. He also knows he's not on Dwight's level, but he's there. He's smart compared to the rest of everybody they're working with.
Yeah.
You know, Armand's a little. I mean, but I
He's
hold
his own
Dwight.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have an equal relationship with each other. Yeah, they're on the same level. Yeah, I agree with that. And it's it's like great recognizes great. Sometimes they say is an old expression, and I get that feeling too because we don't know that much about him, right?
We
Just a
know
few
he's an ex.
things.
You know he's an ex-con.
Yep.
Just like him. We don't know what he went to jail for. I think they or maybe they said he did
Yeah, I don't remember if they did.
armed bribe or whatever. But like I said, wouldn't it be great if like turned out Mitch was actually like a Fed undercover?
It would be delicious because there's no way we'd even have reason to think that right now, right?
Exactly. Like I said, like if they really wanted to do it, I set up because they do that. The feds do know that they're watching Dwight, and they know that he's been talking to Mitch.
Yep.
And there's some other people, so they're keeping eyes on him, but they don't really know what's going on. They know that Mitch was involved with selling the laughing gas.
Mm-hmm.
But up at this point, you said like that'd be the craziest thing is this Mitch just turns on him at the end. Like, oh
We'll
my gosh,
see.
I wouldn't see it, but I don't think it'll happen though.
Yeah, sometimes these quick turns at the end are like, what the fuck, right? Like you're doing it for shock value rather than a slow burn and now it's time, or it makes sense if you go back and look at certain things. I just don't get that vibe right now.
No.
I'll close with this for my final thoughts. Another excellent episode. They've really strung it together. I'm glad that early funk or whatever you want to call it, that sync is off because it's really delicious. It's just the right length where it makes me want the next episode. I love how we're not binging it and we're just talking about it week to week. We get very excited and it's been entertaining. You got to understand that back, like I say, in the 70s and 80s when we had wonderful television, episodic type stuff, people knew how to write arcs like, to go over 22, 24 episodes or whatever. And that kind of died off after, say 2000 roughly. So to me, they've got enough meat on the bone here where they can take their time doing it, not rush it, not have a bunch of silly bullshit in here, but they're not, filling it with a bunch of crap either. I feel like every scene we see has a purpose. And so that's making me wonder, we see Tyson moving out, growing up. It's evolution. He's got a scene with his dad. Why is this important? It's not, he's moving out to go serve Dwight. It's no, there's something about him that's going to be important to the story later. Again, I think it's character first, story second, kind of a lot. I think about it. And I get that here, unlike I do with some of the other Sheridan efforts there too. Any other final thoughts from you?
There was one thing I wanted to mention. Is this the first time they called the Stallone Dwight? They call him the General.
I thought I remember hearing that name being referenced in like description of him, but like that in a more formal capacity, I think is how you're trying to describe it.
Because that's the guy called me. He's the guy and the one officer stood up for him. While they're at the wake. He said, "No, he's the General. He's like a brother to your dad." I was like, I don't think I've ever heard. They may have done it. I might have missed that thing. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But real quickly, I want to address I saw you commented on Ed's Bird question about will they set up a post-slide series? No, it won't work with us. It's all centered around Stallone's character. Without Stallone's character, there is no show. That's just the way it is.
Well, we know they've been renewed for season 2, so I believe that Stallone's committed to it.
Yes.
I understand. Of course, we all go, "Oh my God, a 76-year-old man talks about how this is harder than doing movies. Movies are vacation compared to weekly episodic TV." And I go, I get it too, but at the same time, Stallone, can pick and choose whatever he wants to do, and so I think he's enjoying it. And I know he made the comment, "Oh, it'd be nice if this were in South Florida, where it would be a lot easier." And you know what? If he's still a part of it, because he's not just an actor and he's got like a producer type credit with it. So he's heavily involved in not just showing up and say your lines type of thing. So as long as he wants to be in it, I think it definitely runs. If it got to be where it had to move down south where there's gangster activity here in Florida, absolutely they could do it. Now it's not Tulsa, right? Because it sounds like the Tulsa King, but I could see where they have him down here for a story or two or like that for a couple of seasons. But I think they probably have an end in mind, and they just haven't told everybody about it because, of course, ratings dictate everything. So I slightly disagree where if they had him shot and we had some characters we liked, that they would not try to continue it for a season or two because they can. I mean, this guy's got everything. He puts his name on it. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, it's the biggest debut since his last debut. I mean, he's just that hot right now. So I just want to see more of it. It's been great. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Yep, exactly. I guess I can't say better than that. Man, like I said, I hope he does at least 2 more seasons. But I know Stallone's personally getting up in age. But like you said, he's not like these younger actors or let's say like the B or D list. He pretty much has his own company. He can create his own stuff. He doesn't have to. All he needs is a TV show to put it or a place like streaming app to put a show on.
Yeah.
He's at that point in his life where he can choose what he wants to do. And so I'm not seeing Stallone out there doing all these different movies. It's few and far between. TV series is probably a good way for him to do instead of just doing the movies all time. Man, if dude, where would you want to see this? I mean, obviously he wants to go to Florida, but like imagine it like in Texas or because I feel like if you go down to Florida, it's just going to turn into basically like, oh, it's another Miami Vice.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I know.
I've been waiting for the next Miami Vice, bro. Yeah.
And then Don Johnson shows up.
Don Johnson's still around, bro. He can still do it. Don Johnson's the man. All right, guys, there you have it. Tulsa King Season 1, Episode 8, our quick, brief discussion review / whatever the hell you want to call it. We're glad you all showed up for it, too. I'm glad you're liking it. Kal-El, do you think she dies? If she dies, she dies. That's just how it is. But, yeah, big Stallone fans here on the Extreme Movie Show. Typically, on Tuesday nights, RDV and I do tackle movies, generally 80s actions, and we do branch out, like I always mentioned before, horror, classic, western,
or martial arts.
Martial arts is a big one for us, absolutely, especially the canon films. I would say if anything it would be that. They're just so great. But we're really hot on Stallone. That's why we're doing this, and we'll get back to movies after we finish off the Stallone here, I think, in another episode or two. So check us out next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We bumped that up another hour or two to fit our schedule. So thank you guys for showing up and not missing the beat on it. Man, it's going to go out with a bang. Definitely not a whimper. And yes, Ed Brewer, he is hotter than Hansel right now. That Dwight, that Stallone, he's so hot right now. Yeah, makes me want to go drive out and get an orange smoothie. All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, stay extreme.
Night, guys.